Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. It was a sunny afternoon in the small town of Brooksville when Jason Thompson, the mayor's only son, was strolling peacefully through the town center. At 19, he was known for his kindness and involvement in community projects. What he didn't know was that on that day, his mere presence would unleash a storm. A white woman, visibly annoyed by his presence, approached him in front of a crowded cafe. In a condescending tone, she pushed him away and muttered words full of contempt, immediately drawing a few glances from those around her. Her gesture was clear: "You don't belong here." Jason, surprised and shocked, tried to reply calmly, but his words were drowned out by the muffled laughter of the crowd. As Jason began to walk away, she took out her phone and called the police, exaggerating the situation and lying about what Jason had done. In her hateful and prejudiced statement, she emphasized his skin color, believing that no authority would dare challenge her version of events. Jason felt a cold anger rising within him, but he knew that showing his frustration could only make matters worse. Yet, behind him, the shadow of justice loomed. For regardless of the woman's power and privileges, Jason was no ordinary citizen. He was the son of the mayor of Brooksville. And what seemed like a gratuitous act of humiliation would soon turn against her in an unexpected and spectacular way. A few minutes later, sirens wailed on the main street. Two uniformed police officers pulled up in front of the cafe, their expressions serious. Jason, still calm despite the tension, raised his hands to show he posed no threat. The white woman, all smiles and confidence, pointed emphatically at Jason. "It's him. He threatened me," she shouted, drawing the crowd's attention. The police officers approached and asked Jason to follow them for verification. Just then, a figure rushed out of the town hall office. Mayor Elizabeth Thompson, a respected woman known for her firmness, had just received a call informing her of the situation. When she saw her son in handcuffs and being followed by the police, her eyes widened in disbelief. "What is going on here?" she asked in a firm but trembling voice of anger. The white woman straightened up, proud of herself, and repeated her accusation, insisting on Jason's skin color as justification. The mayor felt her blood boil. She knew this woman was abusing her privilege and prejudice to humiliate her son. But instead of panicking, Elizabeth took a deep breath. She stepped towards the police officers and declared, in a voice that left no room for doubt, "You are making a grave mistake. This young man is my son, Jason Thompson. I advise you to review your facts before making a decision." The police officers exchanged an embarrassed glance. They had no idea who the young man was and were slowly realizing that this situation had just become much more complicated than a simple complaint call. The crowd, which had been watching with fascination, began to murmur. The mayor's power and reputation were well known. The white woman, who just moments before had felt invincible, suddenly felt the tide turn against her. That day, Jason was not only defended by his mother, the situation promised a reversal of justice that would exceed all their expectations. Mayor Elizabeth Thompson didn't just want to protect her son, she wanted justice to be served. She made a discreet gesture to the police officers, showing them that they needed to calm down and listen to the truth. "Gentlemen," she said in an authoritative voice, "you're treating Jason like a criminal when he has done nothing wrong. I invite you to review the security camera footage and the witnesses. You will see that his accusations are false." The police officers hesitated. One of them, the older one, murmured, "Madam Mayor, we didn't know that." But he didn't finish his sentence. The other was starting to sweat, realizing that this situation would backfire on them if they didn't act carefully. Meanwhile, the white woman, still brimming with self-importance, watched her little world crumble. The mayor stepped toward her, her eyes blazing with suppressed anger. "You made an accusation based on the color of my son's skin," Elizabeth said slowly, enunciating each word like a guillotine. "Do you know exactly what you've just done?" The woman paled, trying to take a step back. I. She stammered. But there was no way to justify her actions. The crowd around them began to murmur, some silently applauding the mayor's resolve. Then came the moment of truth. Elizabeth signaled to a police officer who pulled out his phone and showed CCTV footage. The white woman froze. The cameras clearly showed Jason walking calmly, without threatening anyone, while she exaggerated every gesture to attract attention. "You humiliated and accused an innocent young man," the mayor declared. "And you thought no one would check your lies." The white woman felt her pride crumble. Fear now replaced her initial anger. No one in this city would be intimidated by her prejudices. She had just learned the hard way that truth and justice could strike where they were least expected. Jason, standing beside his mother, felt a wave of relief and pride. He had done nothing wrong, and yet this humiliation could have destroyed his reputation. But thanks to his mother's decisive intervention, the power of hatred had just crumbled. The next day, news of the incident spread quickly throughout the city. Social media was ablaze. Everyone was talking about the white woman who had humiliated the mayor's son because of his skin color. Videos of the scene, filmed by passers-by, clearly showed the truth. Jason, calm and dignified, appeared as the innocent victim of an unjust and racist accusation. Mayor Elizabeth Thompson, determined to protect her son and show that hatred had no place in her city, called a press conference. Addressing reporters, she calmly and firmly explained the situation. "My son was unjustly accused today, not because of his actions, but because of the color of his skin. We will never tolerate this kind of behavior in Brooksville." The white woman, who thought she could control everything, suddenly found herself exposed to public scrutiny. Her reputation began to crumble. Neighbors who had previously admired or feared her now whispered behind her back. Local shopkeepers refused to sell her anything, and her colleagues began to avoid her. At the same time, Jason chose not to respond with anger or revenge. Instead, he decided to use the situation to educate and raise awareness. With his mother's support, he launched an anti-racism and anti-prejudice campaign in the city. The video of the incident became a symbol of justice and resilience. The white woman, for her part, felt a bitter mixture of shame and humiliation. Her lies and hatred, which had once seemed invincible, had just destroyed her publicly. She had tried to destroy the reputation of an innocent young man, but it was she who found herself isolated and discredited. Jason, for his part, emerged stronger from this experience. He understood that dignity and truth are more powerful weapons than any unjust accusation. And the town of Brooksville, witnessing this reversed injustice, would never see things the same way again. A few weeks after the incident, the tension in the town had begun to transform into a movement of reflection and change. Mayor Elizabeth Thompson and her son Jason were invited to several local events and interviews to speak about the importance of justice, respect, and tolerance. Their dignity and courage now inspired the entire community. As for the white woman, her world had collapsed. Her lies and racism, publicly exposed, had had severe consequences. She had lost her job, her friends had turned away from her, and even her family was beginning to criticize her. Every day, she faced the results of her arrogance and intolerance. One afternoon, as she wandered alone down the street where it had all begun, she caught Jason's eye. He greeted her politely, without a trace of resentment, but with a quiet firmness that made her waver. She realized that this young man, whom she had tried to belittle, was not only unscathed, but stronger and more respected than she would ever be. Mayor Elizabeth approached her humiliated rival and said, "It is important to understand that hatred first destroys the one who harbors it. Jason chose truth and dignity, you, hatred and lies. The difference is striking." The white woman didn't reply. The lesson was bitter, but impossible to ignore. She left town soon after, leaving behind a tarnished reputation and a clear lesson: hatred based on skin color can never triumph over justice and courage. Jason, beside his mother, gazed at the horizon with a sense of peace. That day, he had not only been protected, but he had also shown the entire town that dignity, respect, and truth are invincible forces. And in Brooksville, this story would be told for years to come as an example of justice and resilience.